The screen door slammed like a judge's gavel, echoing through the humid twilight of the Harper family porch in Willow Bend, North Carolina. Evelyn's mother's voice cracked the air, sharp as the cicada's final chorus. "You ain't my daughter no more. Get out before the Lord sees fit to strike you down." In that instant, the world Evelyn had stitched together from stolen glances and whispered promises unraveled, leaving her barefoot on the gravel drive, clutching a duffel bag stained with the sweat of a love her blood deemed unholy. Evelyn Harper had always known the weight of her mother's faith, a heavy quilt stitched from Bible verses and Sunday sermons in the white-clapboard church down the road. Born under the wide Carolina sky, where the air hung sweet with honeysuckle and the earth yielded tobacco leaves like reluctant confessions, Evelyn grew up chasing fireflies in fields that stretched to the horizon. Her father, gone too soon to a heart attack in the mill, left behind a silence that her mother, Clara, filled with unyielding righteousness. Clara's hands, rough from years of tending the family plot, now trembled as she barred the door. Her eyes, once soft with lullabies, now flint-hard with condemnation. It started innocently enough, or so Evelyn told herself in the quiet hours before dawn. She was 25 when she met Lila at the county fair. Amid the whirl of cotton candy clouds and the low hum of fiddles under strung lights, Lila, with her laugh like wind chimes and her easy way of brushing Evelyn's arm, was a transplant from Charleston, studying botany at the local community college. They shared stolen moments in the shadowed rows of the fairground's oak grove, where the moss draped like forgiving veils. Evelyn felt seen, truly seen, for the first time, not as the dutiful daughter mending hems and harvesting crops, but as a woman whose heart beat in rhythms the world called wrong. Their love unfolded in whispers, in the backseat of Lila's rusted pickup under star-pricked skies, in the secret press of palms during church potlucks. Evelyn's world bloomed, colors sharper, the red clay earth softer under her feet. But secrets in Willow Bend had a way of fermenting like moonshine, turning sweet to sour. It was Mrs. Hargrove, the nosy widow next door, who glimpsed them through her lace curtains one humid July evening, Evelyn's head on Lila's shoulder, a kiss lingering like dew on petals. By morning, the whispers snaked through the congregation, coiling around Clara's ears during the hymn of judgment. "You've shamed us all," Clara hissed that fateful night, her Bible clutched like a shield as Evelyn stumbled in from a late shift at the diner. Lila's car had idled at the end of the drive, headlights cutting through the dark like accusatory beams, but Evelyn had waved her away, clinging to the frayed thread of family. Now, with the door locked and the porch light flickering like a dying ember, Evelyn pounded her fist against the wood, her voice breaking. "Mama, please. It's me. It's still me." The silence from within was a deeper wound than any words. Evelyn sank to her knees, the gravel biting into her skin, tears carving clean paths through the dust on her cheeks. The fields around her whispered condolences in the rustle of leaves, but the stars above offered no mercy, cold witnesses to her exile. She thought of the girl she had been, climbing the old pecan tree to dream of cities beyond the county line, of lives unburdened by the weight of expectation. That girl seemed a stranger now, condemned not by God, but by the woman who had birthed her. Hours blurred into the gray hush of pre-dawn. Evelyn rose on numb legs, slinging her duffel over her shoulder. Inside it, a few threadbare clothes, her father's pocket watch, its tick a faint heartbeat, and a dog-eared copy of Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass, pilfered from the library shelf where Lila had first read her I Sing the Body Electric. The book felt like a talisman, its pages promising a body electric with possibility, even as her own trembled with cold. She walked the 2 miles to the Greyhound station, the road unspooling like a severed lifeline. Dawn broke in reluctant strokes of pink and gold, painting the tobacco barns in hues of forgiveness she could not yet claim. At the station, a flickering neon sign buzzed Willow Bend, Gateway to Tomorrow, mocking her with its lie. She bought a ticket north, to anywhere that wasn't here, her last $20 folding thin as hope. As the bus lurched forward, Willow Bend receded in the rearview, a smudge of green and white against the rising sun. The journey stretched like a confession Evelyn wasn't ready to voice. She pressed her forehead to the cool glass, watching the landscape shift from Carolina's lush embrace to the austere lines of Virginia's hills. Strangers dozed beside her, their lives intact in the folds of newspapers and fast food wrappers. Evelyn's mind replayed the fracture, Clara's face, twisted not just in anger but in terror, as if Evelyn's love were a demon clawing at the foundations of their world. The devil's work, Clara had spat, crossing herself. Evelyn wondered if her mother saw her own reflection in that venom, the young widow who had once danced at barn raisings, her laughter free before grief calcified it into creed. By midday, the bus deposited her in Roanoke, Virginia, a city of brick facades and bustling sidewalks that felt both alien and achingly alive. Evelyn checked into a motel off the interstate, the kind with thin walls and a vending machine humming like a distant storm. The room smelled of stale smoke and regret, its floral bedspread a mockery of comfort. She lay there for hours, staring at water stains on the ceiling that mapped constellations of loss. Sleep came in fits, haunted by dreams of Lila's hands gentle, then vanishing like smoke. The next morning brought the first fracture of routine. Evelyn found work as a barista in a corner cafe, her hands steady as she poured lattes for hurried commuters. The owner, a gruff woman named May with silver streaks in her bob, eyed her warily but said nothing of the shadows under Evelyn's eyes. Days bled into weeks, steam from the espresso machine veiling her face like a shroud, the chatter of patrons a dull roar against her inner silence. She wrote letters to Lila she never sent, inky confessions of a heart adrift. I miss the way you traced the veins in my wrist like rivers on a map. Forgive me for letting you go. Nights were worse. In the motel's dim glow, Evelyn traced the scars of her upbringing, the Bible verses etched into her memory like brands. Thou shalt not lie with mankind as with womankind, it is abomination. Leviticus, her mother's favorite whip. Yet in the quiet, Evelyn remembered the wild roses that bloomed untamed along the creek back home, thorns and all, defying the gardener's shears. Was she so different? A bloom in the wrong soil, perhaps, but rooted deep in her own fierce soil. One evening, as rain lashed the cafe windows like accusations, a customer lingered, a young woman with cropped hair and a tattoo of a phoenix rising from ink-black flames on her forearm. She ordered black coffee, her gaze lingering on Evelyn with a softness that pierced. Rough day? She asked, her voice low, threaded with understanding. Evelyn nodded, wiping the counter harder than necessary. Every day's a rough day when you're running from yourself. The woman, Harper, ironically slid a napkin across, scribbled with a phone number. Call if you need to not run alone. Evelyn pocketed it, her fingers brushing the paper like a secret. That night, in the motel, she dialed. Harper's voice, warm as hearth fire, pulled her from the edge. They talked until the line crackled with fatigue. Stories of small-town shunnings, of loves deemed deviant, of the quiet rage that follows. It was a tether, fragile but real. Evelyn began to venture out, walking Roanoke's leaf-strewn paths where maples turned the world to amber. The mountains loomed like silent guardians, their peaks catching the first frost in crystalline veils. She thought of her mother less as a villain and more as a woman broken by her own chains, passing them down like heirlooms. Forgiveness felt distant, a horizon mirage, but the seed stirred. Yet the wound festered. A letter arrived from Willow Bend, forwarded by May, Clara's handwriting, spidery and severe. Repent, child. The church prays for your soul. No signature. No warmth. Evelyn burned it in the motel's sink, watching flames lick the edges, the ash curling like ghosts released. In that fire, she glimpsed the first spark of defiance, not anger, but a quiet resolve to claim her own light. As winter crept in, frosting the cafe windows with fern-like patterns, Evelyn saved every penny, dreaming of a place untethered to judgment. Lila's memory lingered, a bittersweet ache, but Harper's friendship bloomed into something tentative, a hand extended across the chasm. "You're stronger than you know," Harper said one night over diner pie, her eyes reflecting the neon glow. Evelyn wanted to believe her, even as the shadows lengthened. The year turned, and with it, Evelyn's path bent northward, pulled by an invisible current toward colder skies and wider freedoms. She left Roanoke with a hug from May and a promise to write, the bus carrying her toward Burlington, Vermont, whispers of an artist's haven where lakes mirrored the heavens and women like her could breathe without apology. The landscape softened into rolling hills blanketed in snow, each mile a shedding of skin. In Burlington, the air bit crisp, laced with pine and possibility. Evelyn rented a room above a bookstore, its walls lined with volumes that sang of hidden loves, Sappho's fragments. Ratcliffe Hall's well of loneliness turned to well of strength. She found work in a co-op greenhouse, tending rows of herbs that unfurled like secrets in the sun-warmed soil. The work grounded her, fingers in the earth a reminder that growth persists, even after frost. But the past shadowed her steps. Nightmares woke her with Clara's voice, the slam of that door reverberating in her chest. She journaled by lamplight, words spilling like confessions, the curve of Lila's smile, the sting of exile, the hollow in her mother's eyes that mirrored her own. Vermont's winters were long, the lake frozen into a vast mirror reflecting unspoken griefs. Evelyn walked its shores, boots crunching ice, watching loons dive into depths she dared not follow. Spring thawed the ground in her resolve. At a local poetry reading in a converted barn, amid the scent of hay and candle wax, Eveline met Riley. Riley Ellis, a woodworker from the Adirondacks, her hands scarred from lathes and her laugh a rumble like distant thunder over the green mountains. She recited a piece on fractured oaks mended with gold, kintsugi for trees, and Evelyn felt it in her bones. The beauty in breaks. They talked after, over mulled cider that warmed like shared histories. Riley's eyes, deep brown as fertile soil, held no judgment, Only curiosity. What mends you? She asked, tracing the rim of her mug. Evelyn hesitated, then whispered, time. And maybe someone who sees the gold in the cracks. Their connection unfolded slowly, like fern fronds in May sun. Walks along the Winooski River, where willows trailed fingers in the current. Conversations delving into the marrow of wounds. Riley spoke of her own exile. A family ranch in Montana where her love for a ranch hand's daughter ended in shotgun threats and a midnight flight. I built tables from the scraps, she said. Stronger for the knots. Evelyn shared fragments of Willow Bend, the magnolias that bloomed defiant, the sermons that chained. Riley listened, her presence a balm, not erasing the pain but holding space for it. One evening, as fireflies danced over the lake like errant stars, Riley took Evelyn's hand. You're not condemned. You're claimed by this life, by your own heart. The kiss that followed was tentative, a question answered in the press of lips under a canopy of birch. It tasted of cider and salt, a future sketched in tentative lines. Evelyn pulled back, fear flickering, but Riley's thumb brushed her cheek. We go slow. Like carving wood, patient strokes. Summer deepened their bond. Days spent in Riley's workshop. The air rich with sawdust and possibility. Evelyn learned the grain of maple. How flaws become features under skilled hands. They picnicked on hillsides ablaze with lupins, purple spires against the endless blue, talking of dreams deferred. Evelyn confessed her vision. A haven. A house by the lake where girls like them could mend, workshops for stories, gardens for growth, rooms echoing with laughter unjudged. Riley's eyes lit. Build it. I'll help plane the beams. But shadows lingered. A call from May Lila, back in Charleston, asking after her. Evelyn's heart twisted. Old love's a specter. She wrote to Lila. Closure in ink. You were my first light. Now I chase my own. The letter sent. A weight lifted. Space cleared for Riley's steady warmth. As leaves turned to flame, Evelyn's resolve hardened. She scouted properties, a rambling Victorian on the outskirts of Burlington, its porch sagging but soul intact, overlooking meadows where deer grazed at dusk. The realtor, a wry woman named Cora, saw the fire in her eyes. It's got good bones. Like you. Nights with Riley became sanctuaries. Bodies entwined in flannel sheets. Whispers weaving futures. Not passion's blaze, but embers sustained, illuminating. Evelyn traced Riley's scars, each a map of survival. We're both rebuilders, she murmured. Yet the past clawed back. A package arrived from Willow Bend, Clara's rosary, beads worn smooth, wrapped in a note. Pray for us both. Evelyn clutched it, tears hot. Forgiveness felt like swallowing glass, but Riley held her through the sobs. Understand her cage first. Then unlock yours. Autumn winds carried the scent of change. Evelyn hosted her first gathering, a bonfire circle for local women, faces illuminated by leaping flames. Stories spilled, rejections, runaways, redemptions. In their voices, Evelyn heard her own echo, a chorus of resilience. The haven took shape in sketches, communal kitchen for shared meals, library for tales untold, Greenhouse for lives regrown. Riley hammered the first nail. Her grin fierce. This is your gold. Ev. Winter's hush settled. But inside the Victorian, warmth bloomed. Evelyn stood on the porch one eve. Snow veiling the world in quiet mercy. Riley slipped an arm around her waist. It's starting. Evelyn nodded, breath clouding the air. The wound scarred, but no longer bled. Light filtered through, golden as Carolina's sun remembered. The bonfire's embers glowed like distant memories as Evelyn watched the women disperse into the snow-dusted night, their silhouettes softening against the Vermont hills. Riley lingered, stacking logs with deliberate care, her breath visible in the chill. You gave them something tonight, she said, voice low. A mirror to see themselves whole. Evelyn pulled her coat tighter, the cold seeping through like doubt. I gave them my fragments. Hope they don't cut themselves on the edges. Riley's laugh was soft, a counterpoint to the wind's moan through the pines. She drew Evelyn close, their shared warmth a defiance against the frost. In moments like these, the fracture in Evelyn's chest mended incrementally, thread by thread. But dawn brought the inevitable pull of the past, a tide she could not outrun. The call came mid-morning. As Evelyn kneaded dough in the Haven's makeshift kitchen, the Victorian's bones creaking like an old friend settling in. May's voice crackled over the line, laced with hesitation. Your mama's poorly. Ev. Heart's actin' up. Doc says it's touch and go. The rolling pin slipped from Evelyn's fingers, flower blooming on the scarred oak table like a bruise. Clara. The woman whose condemnation had hurled her into this northern exile, now frail as the letters she'd sent, spiky script begging repentance. Evelyn's pulse thrummed, a war drum of anger and ache. She asked for me? May paused, the line humming with unspoken truths. Reckon she don't know how. Evelyn hung up, staring at the dough's yielding form. How many times had she imagined this reckoning? In Roanoke's motel nights, she'd scripted monologues of fury, demands for apology. Now, faced with mortality's shadow, those words curdled to questions. Why the hate? What fear birthed such cruelty? Riley found her there. Hands dusted white, eyes distant as the lake's far shore. South Callan? Evelyn nodded, voice thick. Mama's dyin'. Maybe. Wants the prodigal sinner home to atone. Riley washed the flour from her hands, then cupped Evelyn's face. Go if it heals. Stay if it honors you. Either way, I'm the anchor. The decision weighed like the duffel she'd packed that long ago night. Evelyn booked a flight to Charlotte. The planes hum a lullaby over clouds that parted to reveal the Appalachian's rumpled spine. Landing in the South's embrace, humid air thick with jasmine and jet fuel, felt like stepping into a half-remembered dream. The rental car wound through familiar backroads, past barns silvered by time, until Willow Bend unfolded, unchanged yet altered in her absence. The Harper house stood sentinel, its porch swing creaking empty in the breeze. Tobacco fields lay fallow, waiting for spring's reluctant hand. Evelyn hesitated at the door, knuckles hovering, before knocking softly. It opened to her cousin Lydia, round-faced and kind, eyes welling. Evie. She's waitin'. Clara lay in the upstairs room, The one with lace curtains filtering sun like filtered grace. Tubes snaked from her arms, monitors beeping a metronome to her shallow breaths. Her hair, once pinned in a severe bun, lay loose and gray on the pillow. She turned her head, eyes sharpening on Evelyn recognition, then recoil, then something softer, cracked open by frailty. "You came," Clara whispered, voice a rasp of kudzu vines. Evelyn perched on the bed's edge, the mattress dipping like yielding ground. May called. Said you might need family. Clara's gaze drifted to the window, where a cardinal perched on the sill. Its read a slash of accusation or absolution. "I ain't much of one to you," the words hung, heavy as storm clouds. Evelyn's throat tightened. "You were everything once. Then you shut the door." Clara's hand twitched, reaching then retreating. "I saw the devil in your eyes that night. Or thought I did. Your daddy. He knew things. Evie. Loved quiet. Away from the world's eyes. After he passed, I built walls high as heaven to keep the dark out. Feared it'd take you too." Evelyn leaned closer, the scent of antiseptic mingling with faint lavender Clara's soap. Unchanged. "It wasn't dark, Mama. It was light. Lila saw me. Truly. Loved me without conditions." Clara's eyes welled, tears carving paths through lined cheeks. "I read the Bible wrong. Maybe. Saw sin where there was just difference. The church, they hammered it in fire and brimstone. I hammered it into you." The confession cracked something in Evelyn, not fully mended but widened. She took her mother's hand, cool and bird-boned. "I forgive you. Not for you, for me. To stop carrying the weight." Clara squeezed weakly. "Forgive yourself too, child. You shine brighter than I ever let you see." They sat in silence. The cardinals sung a fragile bridge. Stories emerged haltingly. Clara's youth, dancing at harvest balls before piety claimed her. Evelyn's father, sketching wildflowers in secret notebooks. His love for beauty unspoken. Laughter flickered, tentative as candle flame, when Evelyn recalled chasing lightning bugs, jars glowing like captured stars. But understanding was no eraser. As days blurred, nursing Clara through fevers, sharing weak tea on the porch, old hurts resurfaced. A church elder visited, Bible in hand, murmuring prayers for the wayward daughter. Evelyn met his gaze steady. "Pray for understanding, not change." Clara, from her chair, added faintly, "She's right, Harlan. I've learned that." The elder left abashed, and Evelyn felt the house shift, foundations loosening from judgment's grip. Ninth. She walked the fields, moonlight silvering the earth, whispering to ghosts, Lila, her father, the girl she'd buried. Forgiveness wasn't absolution, it was excavation, unearthing the human beneath the creed. Riley called daily, her voice a lifeline across miles. "How's the gold coming?" "Shiny in spots," Evelyn replied. "Rusty in others." "Miss your hands. Save some rust for me to polish." Clara rallied enough for a walk to the creek, arms linked like in childhood. The water babbled over stones smoothed by time. Wild roses nodding in the breeze, untamed as ever. Build your haven, Evie, Clara said, pausing to catch breath. Make it big enough for all the girls I failed. Evelyn's eyes stung. It's for us too. All of us. Back north. The Victorian awaited, its walls echoing with potential. Evelyn returned with Clara's rosary rest-strung, beads now interspersed with wild rose hips. Symbols of thorns turned talismans. Riley met her at the Burlington airport. Arms open. Kiss a homecoming. Tell me everything. Over cider by the fire. Evelyn did. Words weaving wounds into wisdom. She saw me. Finally. Not all the way. But enough. Riley traced her palm. That's the start. Spring swelled. The haven's frame rising under hammer and hope. Local women joined. Cora the realtor with blueprints. A carpenter named Elise with callous dreams. Evelyn led circles under the budding maples. Voices rising like sap. Tales of mothers' silences. Lovers' losses. Selves reclaimed. One evening, as thunder rumbled distant, a girl arrived, young, 19. Backpack slung low. Eyes wide with flight. Heard about this place. From Carolina. Said it's safe. Evelyn drew her in. The door closing soft. It is. Sit. Tell your story when you're ready. In that girl, echoes of her own flight, Evelyn saw the cycle break. Understanding bloomed. Not just for Clara, but for the world that condemned. Forgiveness, she learned, was a garden, weeded daily, watered with tears, yielding blooms in unlikely soil. Riley watched from the porch, pride in her stance. You're the light now. Evelyn smiled, hand finding hers. We are. The work deepened. Layers peeled to reveal the tender core. Clara wrote letters, halting at first, then flowing. Recipes for cornbread. Memories of firefly hunts. Quiet admissions of pride. Your haven sounds like grace, one read. Evelyn framed them in the common room. Walls papered with such truths. Summer's heat brought volunteers. A poet from Portland. A healer from Montana's plains. The greenhouse overflowed with basil and hope. Scents mingling like prayers answered. Evelyn and Riley stole moments in the herb rose. Fingers laced through mint. Kisses tasting of earth and eternity. Yet doubt whispered. Was the forgiveness real? Or fragile as spring ice? A nightmare woke Evelyn, Clara's door slamming anew, and she rose to walk the lake's edge. Moon path shimmering like a vein of silver. Riley followed. Wordless. Wrapping her in a quilt stitched from their shared scraps. It's not linear, Evelyn confessed. Waves lapping gentle. Some days. The hurt swells. Riley nodded. Then we swell with it. Till it ebbs. Their love matured. Roots delving deep. Not the blaze of youth, but steady burn. Conversations by lamplight on faith's fractures. On building without blueprints. Riley carved a sign for the haven. Sanctuary. Letters plain smooth. Edges gilded. Clara's health held. A tentative truce with time. She visited once. Summer's end. Train rumbling north like a prodigal's return. The Victorian's porch welcomed her. Rocking chairs creaking duet. Evelyn watched her mother take in the gardens. The laughter spilling from open windows. It's beautiful, Clara murmured. Hand on Evelyn's arm. Like you. Tears came unbidden. Stay. See it grow. Clara shook her head. Soft. My place is south. But my heart's here now. The goodbye was gentle. No slams, only waves from the platform. Train whistle a benediction. Evelyn returned to find Riley waiting. Arms flower-dusted from bread. She saw. She did. Autumn painted the hills in fire. Harvest of stories ripening. The Haven hosted its first retreat. 10 women. Circles under harvest moon. Drums echoing like heartbeats synced. Evelyn facilitated. Voice steady. Sharing her scar. Condemnation broke me open. Now, through you, I mend. I schmet Hirsch. Mirrors of mirrored panes. A young artist from Savannah sketched the circle. Lines flowing like rivers to sea. This is us, she said. Connected. In the quiet after. Evelyn and Riley lay on the meadow. Stars wheeling overhead. We've built more than walls, Evelyn whispered. Riley's fingers traced constellations on her skin. We've built home. Winter's veil descended. But the Haven glowed, windows warm against snow. Smoke curling from chimneys like invitations. Evelyn's journal filled. Entries on Grace's geometry. On love as latticework holding light. Clara's letters continued. Threads south to north. One arrived with a pressed magnolia. Bloom where planted. Child. Evelyn pressed it between pages. Beside Riley's latest carving. A locket oak. Heartwood exposed yet strong. The year turned. And with it, Evelyn turned fully toward light, scars not hidden, but honored. Gold-veined. Snow blanketed the Haven's meadows in hush. Each flake a whisper permission to pause. To breathe into the spaces healing had carved. Evelyn stood at the kitchen window. Mug steaming with chamomile. Watching Riley and the girls from the retreat shovel paths to the greenhouse. Their laughter cut the cold. Bright as the cardinals flitting from branch to branch. Red punctuations against white. It had been 6 months since Clara's visit. And the letters had evolved from penance to poetry. Snippets of Willow Bend's rhythms. Questions about the Haven's days. A tentative I love you, inked small at the close. Evelyn read them aloud to Riley some evenings. Voice catching on the vulnerability. She's trying, she'd say. And Riley would nod. Pulling her close. As are you. The Haven. Now christened Hearthwood. Thrummed with life. The Victorians' rooms overflowed. A library stacked with voices queer and kind. From Audre Lorde to contemporary verse. A studio where brushes danced over canvases. Birthing self-portraits fierce and tender. The greenhouse. A verdant womb where seedlings pushed through soil. Mirroring the women's own emergences. Evelyn's days wove through it all. Facilitating morning circles where grief was aired like laundry on the line. Heavy then light in the sun. Tending the herb beds. Fingers sifting earth as if unearthing buried truths. Evenings by the fire. Where stories spun into songs. Guitars strumming chords of camaraderie. One crisp February morn. A new arrival knocked. Juniper. 24. From the Oregon coast. Her duffel clutched like a shield. I see storm gray. Saw your sight. Said it's for girls like me. Runaways from families that pray too hard. Evelyn drew her in. The doors creak a welcome. Over tea in the sunroom. Juniper unfolded. A mother who burned her journals after finding lines to a girl named Sage. A father who locked the garage. Shotgun by the door. I drove 3 days straight. Thought the ocean would swallow me first. Evelyn listened. Her own echo in the words. It won't. Here. We learned to swim. Juniper stayed. Her hands finding purpose in the pottery wheel. Clay yielding to form. Vessels born from pressure. Watching her, Evelyn felt the ripple. One woman's men strengthening the weave. Riley noticed the shift. That evening as they walked the frozen lake's edge. Boots crunching crystalline crust. You're glowing different. Deeper. Evelyn linked arms. Breath clouding shared. It's them. Seeing my scars in theirs. It makes them stars. Not wounds. Riley stopped, turning her to face the moon's reflection. A silver road across ice. You've become the map. Their kiss was slow. Deliberate. The cold sharpening senses to the warmth beneath skin. Back at Hearthwood. In their attic room with its slanted ceilings and skylight framing constellations, they mapped each other anew, explorations gentle, reverent, bodies languages of trust. No rush. Only the poetry of presence. Riley's calluses grazing ribs like Braille's secrets. Evelyn's curls spilling over pillows like autumn vines. Spring arrived as Renaissance. Mud season yielding to green shoots. Hearthwood hosted a workshop with a visiting therapist from Portland. Sessions delving into somatic release, bodies remembering betrayals, then releasing in trembles and tears. Evelyn participated, lying on the yoga mats amid the circle. Breath hitching as old door slams echoed in her chest. Feel it, the therapist urged. Then let the river take it. After. Juniper gifted her a mug, glazed in ocean blues. Handle curved like a wave. For your storms. Evelyn used it daily. Sipping strength. Clara's health wavered that season. A fall in the garden. Hip fractured like old porcelain. Evelyn flew south again. The plains descent stirring soil-deep tugs. Willow Bend greeted with dogwoods in bloom. Petals pink as apologies unspoken. Clara, propped in her hospital bed, looked smaller, but her eyes held new light. Evie. You came quick. Always will, Evelyn said, settling beside her, hands folding over the quilt. Talk turned to legacies, the family plot, now leased to neighbors, the church, where Clara had spoken haltingly of love's many faces. Harlan listened. Others. Not yet. But seeds planted. Evelyn squeezed her hand. Enough for now. Clara's recovery was slow. Days blurring in bedside vigils and porch recoveries. Evelyn cooked cornbread. The kitchen filling with buttery warmth. Memories surfacing like bubbles in batter. Remember Daddy's secret ingredient? She asked. During. Clara smiled faint. A pinch of mischief. Laughter bridged the years. Thawing frozen rivers. Before leaving, Evelyn wheeled Clara to the creek. Wild roses rampant. Hearthwoods thriving. Junipers making art from her ache. Clara nodded. Petals brushing her cheek. Tell her. Tell them all. Sorry for the thorns I grew. Evelyn carried those words north like pollen on the wind. Summer swelled Hearthwood's ranks. A dozen residents. Volunteers swelling to 20. Gardens burst. Tomatoes ruby as sunsets. Zinnia's nodding approval. Evelyn and Riley led a retreat on roots and wings, hikes through birch groves where women planted intentions in the earth, then released paper lanterns at dusk, glows ascending like prayers. One night, under Perseid meteor streaking silver, Juniper confessed to the circle, I called Sage. Told her I'm building boats from wreckage. She said she'd visit. Cheers rose. Hands linking. A chain unbroken. Evelyn's journal brimmed. Forgiveness is fractal, patterns repeating. Each smaller. Softer. Riley proposed then. Casual as dawn. A ring carved from Vermont maple. Inlaid with Carolina rosewood. Marry me? Not for papers. But for this, weaving worlds. Evelyn's yes was a vow. Sealed with Salt Lake tears. Autumn's palette deepened resolve. Hearthwood expanded. A barn conversion for art studios. Funded by grants and Clara's modest bequest. For the blooming, her will noted. Clara arrived for the wedding. Train journey a pilgrimage. The ceremony unfolded on the meadow. Under a canopy of turning leaves, Riley in linen shirt. Sleeves rolled, Evelyn in a dress of soft green. Echoing fields reclaimed. Vows exchanged. I see your gold. I choose your rust. Clara, seated front, wept openly. Lydia at her side. After, she pulled Evelyn aside. Proud. Child. Of the woman you grew into. The embrace lingered. Thorns long shed. Winter wrapped Hearthwood in quiet expansion. New arrivals. Stories layering like snow. Evelyn. Belly just rounding with their future. Adopted dreams taking seed. Watched from the porch. Riley's hand on hers. We did this, Riley murmured. Evelyn smiled. Light pooling within. We are this. The wedding's afterglow lingered like the scent of fallen leaves. A rich earthiness that permeated Hearthwood's halls even as November's chill etched frost ferns on the panes. Evelyn traced them with a fingertip. Patterns evoking neural pathways, connections firing anew in the wake of vows exchanged. Riley slept beside her. Chest rising steady. The maple ring glinting on her finger like a captured ember. 29 now. Evelyn felt the years settle not as burdens but as fertile soil. Ready for what bloomed next. Clara's presence had infused the day with unexpected grace. Her frail form in the front row. Clutching a bouquet of wild roses Evelyn had pressed from the creek back home. The older woman's eyes, softened by illness and insight, had met Evelyn's during the ceremony. A silent bridge spanning the chasm of years. You've built a cathedral, Clara whispered post-vows. Her voice thin but threaded with awe as guests milled the meadow. Laughter mingling with the rustle of wind-stirred oaks. Evelyn had knelt then. Forehead to her mother's knee. Not alone. And not without your light. Faint as it was. Clara's hand trembled on her curls. I dimmed it once. Never again. She returned south the next day. Train vanishing into haze. But her spirit lingered in small ways. A quilt piece from Willow Bend fabrics. Mailed with a note. Stitch your stories warm. Now draped over the common room sofa. Where women gathered for evening yarns. Hearthwood pulsed with purpose. The barn studio hummed. Easels splashed with tempera dreams. Juniper's pottery will spinning forms from chaos. Bowls wide as embraces. Mugs etched with phoenix rises. The greenhouse. Expanded with Clara's gift. Yielded winter greens under grow lights. A defiant green against the white world outside. Evelyn oversaw it all, her role evolving from founder to facilitator, guiding without gripping, like a river-shaping stone. One gray afternoon, as sleet tapped the roof like impatient fingers, a letter arrived from Lila, forwarded from the old Roanoke address. Envelope crinkled as if carried far. Evelyn slid it open in the library, surrounded by shelves bowed under tomes of resilience. Alison Bechtel's fun home turned inheritance. Jeanette Winterson's oranges peeled to revelations. Ev, it began. Script looping graceful. Heard about Hearthwood through grapevine whispers. Charleston changed me, Sage and I parted gentle, but the ache taught tides. I'm opening a bookstore now. Shelves for stories like ours. If you're ever south. Coffee, no strings. Just sisters in the current. Evelyn folded it. A chapter closed with kindness. She pinned it to the community board. Beside Juniper's sketch of the wedding circle, women linked. Hands aglow. Riley found her there. Arms slipping around from behind. Old ghost. A friendly one. Evelyn leaned back. Riley's chin on her shoulder. Makes me grateful for this harbor. Their days wove domestic rhythms. Mornings in the kitchen. Riley chopping onions for communal stew while Evelyn stirred. Spices blooming like confessions. Afternoons. Hikes to the ridge where views unfolded. Champlain Valley, a quilt of frozen blue and white. Evenings. The attic sanctuary. Books read aloud. Bodies curling like question marks into answers. Pregnancy's possibilities stirred early spring. Not biological but chosen, a foster path. Paperwork a promise. Evelyn imagined a child toddling the gardens, fingers sticky with berry juice, learning love's languages from the women's chorus. Our legacy, she told Riley one dawn. Palms pressed to belly in ritual hope. Riley's kiss lingered. Ours to grow wild. Hearthwood's second anniversary dawned misty. Veils lifting to reveal tulips thrusting defiant. A celebration unfurled. Bonfire circle expanded. Drums from a visiting elder from the Abenaki nation. Rhythms echoing ancestral heels. Women shared altars, photos of lost loves. Stones from home rivers. Feathers for flights taken. Evelyn spoke last. Voice carrying over flames. We come condemned. But here. We consecrate. Each scar a verse in our gospel. Clara called that night. Static lace from the landline. Heard the news. A little one? Oh. Evie. Evelyn laughed. Tears pricking. Foster first. Testing the waters. Clara's pause held warmth. You'll be the mother I aspired to. Strong roots. Open skies. The line hummed benediction. Summer-ripened expansions. A cabin added lakeside. For retreats deep in quiet. Volunteers swelled. A nurse from North Carolina. Drawn by tales. A writer from Savannah. Penning collective memoir. Juniper's art show in Burlington drew crowds. Pieces titled Thornless. Roses rendered in clay. Blooms without barbs. Evelyn curated a mother's circle. Virtual at first. Bridging south and north. Clara joined tentatively. Screen glowing her lined face. Women shared, rejections raw. Redemptions raw. I shut doors, Clara admitted once. Voice pixelated but piercing. Now I learned to open. A young mother from Georgia wept. Mine still slams. But hearing you. Maybe mine will soften. Evelyn moderated. Heart swelling. We all learn late. The grace is in trying. Fall brought harvest festival. Pies from greenhouse apples. Stories harvested in anthologies self-bound. The foster match came then, a girl named Willow. From Boston's foster churn. Eyes wide as the tree she honored. Her file. Mother lost to opioids. Father unknown. A quiet hunger for home. Evelyn and Riley met her at the agency. Hands extended. Welcome to Hearthwood, Evelyn said. Voice steady though knees quaked. Willow clutched a stuffed fox. Gaze assessing. Is it real? The woods. Riley knelt. Real as you want. We'll explore. The first weeks were tentative. Nights of thunder fears. Days of garden tours where Willow named plants. That's sage. For wisdom. Her small voice blooming. Hearthwood enveloped her. Juniper teaching clay foxes. The nurse braiding her hair with ribbons. One evening, as leaves swirled gold, Willow asked Evelyn, curled on the sofa under Clara's quilt, why do you make this place? Evelyn smoothed her bangs. Someone shut a door on me once. I built windows instead. Willow nodded. Fox tucked close. Windows are better. Winter's hush deepened bonds. Willow's laughter echoed halls. A new melody. Clara visited for Yule, bearing cornbread and tales. Her stories now laced with wonder. She and Willow bonded over puzzles, pieces fitting like forgiveness. Evelyn watched. Riley's arm around her. Full circle. Not circle, Riley murmured. Spiral. Upward. Spring 2027 unfurled Hearthwood's arms wider. Satellite haven scouted in Montana. Portland seeds from the mother root. Evelyn. Now 31. Pen grants. Voice authoritative yet soft. Willow started school in Burlington. Backpack fox pinned. Returning with drawings of my mom's and the magic house. Clara's letters evolved to visits thrice yearly. Her health a gentle ebb. I'm learning guitar, one noted. Fingers ache. But songs come easier. Evelyn replied with recordings. Hearthwood circle songs. Willow's off-key joins. Summer's heat brought Lila southbound. Book tour serendipity. Coffee in Burlington turned to lunch at Hearthwood. Her eyes tracing the haven's veins. You did this. From ashes. Evelyn smiled. Riley at her side. Willow chasing butterflies nearby. We all did. Lila raised her mug. To sisters. Fall wove closures. Clara's church sermon. Guest spoke at Hearthwood's invitation. Love's no abomination. It's the holiest verse. Video shared. Ripples wide. Winter solstice. Willow lit the Yule log. Wish whispered. More light. Evelyn held her. Riley's hand in hers. Light came. Steady as dawn. Rebirth was no endpoint, but perpetual shedding skins. Growing anew. Hearthwood stood testament. From condemnation's door. A world windowed wide. Dawn crept over Champlain like a hesitant lover, gilding the lake's surface in strokes of rose and amber, as if the sky itself conspired to paint hope into the world's waking. Evelyn stirred in the attic bed. Willow's soft snores from the adjoining room a lullaby's echo. Riley's arm draped possessive across her waist. 32. The lines around Evelyn's eyes had deepened. Not creases of wear, but etchings of joy earned, laughter's fine script. Hearthwood had blossomed into a constellation, the original Victorian a Heartwood hub, satellite chapters sprouting in Missoula, Montana, a ranch reclaiming wide skies, and Portland's fog-kissed lofts, where urban edges softened into sanctuary. Grants flowed like spring thaw. Volunteers a river, therapists, artists, elders weaving wisdom. Evelyn traveled now. Keynotes at conferences where her story, condemned daughter to haven builder, ignited panels on queer resilience. Yet mornings grounded her. Coffee brewed strong. Willows chatter over oatmeal. Mom Ev. The fox dreamed of rivers. Riley's kiss lingering like dew. Willow, 10 now, had woven into their fabric seamless, braids adorned with feathers from hikes, drawings papering walls, her questions probing deep. Why do some moms shut doors? She'd asked once. Crayon pausing. Evelyn knelt then. I level. Fear makes walls. Love makes doors. We choose love. Clara's influence lingered luminous. 68. Her health a mosaic of good days enshadowed. She let bridges circles in Willow Bend, women of faith grappling grace. Her voice once thunder now rain soft. Visits north were rituals, train rides with Willow's puzzles, evenings on the porch where Clara taught card tricks, sleights of hand mirroring heart's illusions shed. One summer, Clara arrived with a gift, her father's sketchbook, pages yellowed but vibrant, wildflowers rendered exquisite, notes in margins, beauty hides in plain sight. Evelyn pored over it, tears salting pages. He saw the world whole. Claire nodded, eyes distant. As you do now, Hearthwood's core pulse with rebirth's rhythm. Juniper, now 28, managed the Montana site. Her pottery shipped east, vessels for communal teas, each etched from fracture. The Portland chapter, led by a poet named Ellis, hosted voice vigils, readings under bridges, turning concrete to confessionals. Evelyn's book emerged that year. Windowed Worlds, essays braided from circle stories, her own thread gold-veined. Launches in 3 cities drew crowds. Lila emceeing in Charleston. Shelves of her bookstore stocked proud. Cora toasting in Burlington. Realtors' eye on expansions. Reviews bloomed. Harper's prose is a lantern in the long night tender. Unflinching. Royalties seeded scholarships. Clara grants, for Southern girls fleeing faith's fierce grip. Willow's adoption finalized under maple boughs. Papers signed with her looping script. Forever home. The party spilled meadows, bonfires. Bannock from Abenaki kin. Willow's fox-crowned flower garland queen. Night. Moms, she yawned later. Book clutched, Evelyn's. Illustrated soft. Riley tucked her in, returning to find Evelyn on the porch. Stars pricking vast. She's ours. Truly. Evelyn pulled her down. Laps shared. We hers. Autumn's palette deep in devotions. Hearthwood hosted Roots reunion. Southern women bust north. Carolina drawls mingling Vermont twang. Circles where mothers met daughters' shadows. Clara facilitated one. Her Bible swapped for Whitman's leaves. We misread the body electric, she confessed. Now, we sing it. A mother from Savannah, hands wrung raw, approached Evelyn Post. My girl. She loves a girl. I slammed the door. Evelyn guided her to the lake. Waves lapping counsel. Open slow. Start with T. The woman returned south changed. Letters following. Door ajar. Light seeping. Winter wove intimacies. Riley's workshop birthed heirlooms. A cradle for dreams unspoken. Shelves for Willow's growing library. Evelyn taught writing circles. Prompts pulling rebirths. Write the self you shelved. One resident. A trans woman named Rowan from Texas Plains. Penned. I died in mirrors. Reborn in clay. Juniper fired it into tile. Mosaic for the entry hall. Clara's Yuletide visit brought snow rare south soft. She and Willow built forts. Giggles fortressing hearts. Evesy. By firelight. Clara pulled Evelyn aside. Proud don't cover it. Your grace embodied. Evelyn hugged her fierce. You taught the bones of it. Spring 2029 heralded horizons. Hearthwood's network linked 50 women in mentorships. Veterans guiding fledglings. Emails epistles of endurance. Evelyn keynote in D.C. Halls hushed as she spoke. Condemnation cracked me. Now, through us, the world widens. Riley and Willow cheered front row. Fox plush waving. Summer's heat fueled a pilgrimage. Family road trip south. Willow's first Willow Bend. The Harper house welcomed. Porch swing oiled smooth. Clara. Frielier but fierce. Led creek walks, roses rampant. Stories spilling. Willow dipped toes. Splashing. This your river. Mom Ev. Evelyn nodded. Riley's hand in hers. Where I learned to swim. Clara watched. Eyes missed. And fly. Fall brought fruition. Hearthwood Press launched. Anthologies from residents. Sanctuary voices. Covers clay stamped. Lila distributed east. Sales seeding more sites. Clara's health dipped then, lungs compromised. Breaths labored. Evelyn flew immediate. Train too slow. Hospital hush, monitors beeping dirge. Clara's hand cool in hers. Evie, she rasped. Finish the quilt. All patches. Evelyn nodded. Throat tight. Everyone. Clara rallied brief. Home for harvest. Days blurred. Soup simmered. Stories shared. One eve. Porch lit. She gifted the final square. Embroidered magnolia. Thorns stylized to leaves. No more barbs. Evelyn stitched at midnight. Needle piercing dark. Emerging light. Winter grip gentle. Clara passed solstice eve. Peaceful, surrounded by kin. Quilt draped tender. Willow placed a rose in her palm. For the thorns you tamed. Funeral in Willow Bend, church full. Hymns hybrid, gospel lace queer choir from Hearthwood. Eulogy Evelyn's. She condemned. Then comprehended. Her light. Our lantern. Graveside. Under dogwood spare. Lydia pressed a locket. Clara's. With Evelyn's baby curl inside. She carried you always. North return. Hearthwood mourned communal. Circles of candle and cry. Then song. Willow carved a fox from pine. Guardian for grandma. Spring's thaw mirrored thaw within. Evelyn scattered ashes at the creek. Riley and Willow witnesses. To the wild, she whispered. Petals scattering. Summer rebuilt. Memorial garden at Hearthwood. Roses thornless hybrid, Clara's namesake. Blooms drew bees. Hum of healing. Willow. 12. Asked. Does it hurt less? Evelyn hugged. Hurts true. But lighter. Falls fires warmed expansions. Montana site ribbon cut. Juniper toasting from south soil to sky roots. Evelyn's second book brood. Lantern Legacies. Chapters on lineages reclaimed. Winter solstice. Willow lit the log anew. Wish. More grandmas in the stars. Evelyn smiled. Riley close. Stars winked consent. Rebirth rippled outward. Evelyn's story. Now legend soft. Inspiring chapters in Carolina. Portland blooming bridges. From one slammed door. A world windowed. Light flooding free. The memorial garden at Hearthwood unfurled its first full bloom under June's languid sun. Roses nodding heavy-headed in shades from blush dawn to deepest burgundy. Their petals a hush of velvet against the hum of bees drunk on nectar. Evelyn knelt among them. Secateur snipping spent heads. The shears snick a meditative rhythm that synced with her breath. 34. Her hands bore new lines, motherhood's tender maps. Haven building's calluses, each mark a testament to lives coaxed from latent. Riley approached soft-footed. Willow trailing with a basket of weeds. Her 13-year-old frame lengthening into coltish grace. Braids threaded with rose clippings. Papa Fox says the garden's singing today, Willow announced, setting the basket down. Her stuffed companion now threadbare sage, propped sentinel on a stone. Evelyn rose, brushing soil from knees, pulling Willow into a dirt-dusted hug. What tune? Willow tilted head. Ear to petal. Grow through grief. Riley chuckled. Arms slipping around Evelyn's waist. Her woodworker's frame solid as oak. Kids got ears for the unseen. The garden, Claire's corner, had become pilgrimage point. Paths mulched soft. Benches carved by Riley. Rest here. Roots deep. Engraved subtle. Women lingered. Fingers tracing leaves. Leaving notes in a weatherproof box. Your light led me home. From Montana's windswept plains to Portland's drizzle-draped streets. Satellites echoed. Rose gardens mirroring. Circles chanting Clara's name like litany. Hearthwood's web span now 5 cores. Hundreds touched. Emergency lines staffed round clock. Scholarships blooming girls to colleges. Online forums threading solitary souls. Evelyn's days divided. Mornings with Willow's school runs. Burlington's brick charm unfolding. Afternoons in circles. Voices layering like sedimentary truth. Evenings. Riley's workshop glow. Shavings curling under lamplight as they planned expansions. Willow's questions evolved deeper. Over dinner. Fork spearing broccoli like a quest. Momri. Did you ever get condemned? Riley pause. Eyes meeting Evelyn's shared history. Silent nod. Once. Ranch hands with hard stares. But I carved my way out. Willow nodded grave. Like the fox. Bites back smart. Evelyn's book tour for Lantern Legacies wove summer's weave. Stops in Savannah, where Lila hosted launch in her expanded shop. Shelves groaning under Hearthwood press titles. Missoula. Juniper's pottery kiln fresh mugs gifted DC. Again. Halls fuller. Applause thunderous. In Charleston. Lila pulled her aside post-reading. Cafe steam veiling faces. Your mama's quilt square? I framed one for the store. From thorns to threads. Evelyn's throat caught. She'd blush. Lila grinned. Or beam. Fall's harvest yielded anthologies fresh. Echoes east. Southern voices amplified. A girl from North Carolina's mills penning Bible Belt unbuckled. Sales circled funds to a new site. Asheville's Blue Ridged Embrace. Southern Anchor. Clara's anniversary marked gentle. Creekside South. Evelyn. Riley. Willow scattering petals. Pink magnolia confetti on current. Lydia joined. Stories swapped. She played guitar last. Fingers flying, hymns rewritten. Willow skipped stones. Ripples widening. Grandma's in the waves now. Winter wrapped introspective. Hearthwood solstice circle swelled. 50 strong. Lanterns bobbed lakeward. Wishes whispered to wind. Willows. Wings for all foxes. Evelyn's. Silent. Sustain the light. Spring 2031 brought Willow's bat mitzvah eclectic rite. Blending Clara's hymns with Riley's carven star. Evelyn's words. Synagogue in Burlington glowed. Kin from webs wide. Juniper toasting mazel. Lila via video. Asheville chapter chanting Hebrew lace queer. Willow read Torah portion on Exodus. From narrow places to promised. Her voice. Steady bloom. Hush the room. Reception meadows. Klezmer fiddles. Cornbread flown south. Dances whirling free. Summer's heat hatched dreams. Hearthwood Academy. Pilot classes in art. Advocacy, Willow first enrollee. Age no bar. She sketched curriculum. Fox Folklore 101. Evelyn laughed. Pinning it board. Our sage. Fall deep in devotions. A crisis call, young woman. 17. Tennessee trailer park trapped. Mother's Bible a barrier. Evelyn drove south. Riley minding fort. Extracting her gentle duffel packed. Door left ajar with note. Love waits open. Back north. The girl, named River, blossomed greenhouse tended. Hands green-thumbed. Clara's quilt. Full now. Draped the welcome hall. Patches from Havens, Montana denim. Portland wool. Asheville clay dyed. Women touched it passing. Threads talismanic. Winter solstice. River lit the log. Wish. Rivers run free. Evelyn watched. Riley's hand warm. Willow's eyes star reflect. Light held. Years spiraled. Willow 16. Driver's license earned on winding roads. College scouts eyeing her essays. Havens within. Hearthwood spanned 10 sites. Global ripples, letters from Ireland. Australia. Your story seeded ours. Evelyn. 40. Gray threading curls. Keynote UN panels. Voice global. From one condemnation. A chorus of claims. Riley's rings now graced museums. Queer Woods. Series on bent grain straight strong. Clara's garden. Decade on. Thorns long bred out, hybrids gifted worldwide. Harper Rose named. One eve. Porch sit. Willow home from dorm. Fox retired honored shelf. You built this, she said. Gesturing vast. Evelyn shook head. We all did. From slammed doors to sky open. Riley raised glass cider malt. To light after. Stars wheel descent. Lake whispering eternal hill. Hold. Horizon. The end? No, ever unfolding. Light's legacy luminous.